What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is Lake Mead. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, it is the start of a new year, our first fishing session for the year of 2022. Now that of course means that this year is going to be my third year here on YouTube. So for that reason, I think I cannot see myself as a novice fisherman anymore. So I have been promoted to a casual fisherman. Now to try and spice things up this year, I don't want to bring you the same content over and over. So every once in a while I'm going to try something new, something different. I'm going to force myself to try some different things. And that kind of brings me to why we're out here at Hemenway today. Lately I've been struggling quite a lot with finding some stripers. So I thought, let's start off the year with coming down here and try to catch some stripers. Now my initial plan was to show you guys the shad and how to catch shad without using a net. But as luck would have it, when I got out here this morning, there are absolutely no shad up shallow. When the water temperatures get this cold, all of a sudden all these shad move out into deeper waters to find some warmer waters. So there are no shad up close. Yes, you can catch stripers on anchovies, but if there's shad around, the stripers aren't interested in the anchovies. It's like me offering you a ribeye steak on the one hand or some beef jerky on the other. So then what is this video going to be about? Well, I think at this point, let's just get some rods out in the water and see if we can catch anything out there today. Alright, so we picked a pretty good day for some fishing today. Full sunshine, not a cloud in the sky. Very low to almost no wind at all. But still braving the cold with me. The wife is out here today fishing with me. And of course, being two licensed anglers, we're allowed 2 rods each. For that reason, we're using the Carp setup out there, seeing if maybe there are still some carp feeding in this area. Been seeing a lot of carp up shallow, so hopefully they're still feeding. Right next to that we have a high-low rig on there with some anchovies. Hopefully some stripers will be willing to go for jerky. At the moment the wife is using a rod where we're throwing around some lures, see if maybe there's some active fish in the area. And on the 4th rod we have Carolina rig, swapping between stuff like anchovies and corn, seeing maybe if we can hit some of the shallower spots where we keep seeing the fish. And like I mentioned, the plan was to show you guys how to catch some of the shad, especially when they're in deep water like this. If you're trying to throw the net out there, they swim out underneath the net, you're not going to get some shad. Sadly, no more shad around, but luckily I have some footage that I can show you that I got a bit earlier this year. Now the problem is, it doesn't matter how many times I throw my casting net, by the time the net reaches the fish swim away underneath it, so I cannot get any fish trapped inside the net. So we then need some shad in to be able to catch anything out there. So I'm reverting to an old fisherman's trick, where I'm going to be using my one rod with some treble hooks. I got 2 treble hooks on here, and I'm going to be trying to snag some of these little bait fish down there. I have a little lead weight with the 2 treble hooks, casting it out, going to bring it back in. Hopefully we snag some of the fish. This is not ideal, it's a great way to kill the fish actually, so it's not an ideal way of catching them, but at the moment we need some bait fish to catch fish, so this is the only way I can think of getting some bait fish and maybe getting on some fish. And there we go, finally snagged ourselves a little bait fish. Now I like to point out that it's very important to stress that when snagging little shad like this, they're not going to survive that long. It is a great way of getting some live bait out there to try and find some stripers, but if you don't like snagging fish and killing them, maybe think about considering using someone like Regular Army, where you can buy some golden shiners or bullhead meadows. Rather try with them out there to see if you can find some stripers. Alright guys, finally got a little fish on. This is on Ned rig. Totally not expecting any bass to be active right now, but more than happy to get our first fish for the year to be a little bass. I think it might be a smallmouth. Decent size. Not using a very heavy line, so I'm not going to try and force it in. It's got me wrapped around some cover. There we go, it's out of the cover. Decent smallmouth. Let's see if we can get him in the net. We don't want our little Ned rig to pop out. There we go, fish landed. First fish for 2021. First fish for 2022. Lovely smallmouth bass. Nice fat bass. Full belly on this one. Let's get our little Ned rig out there. This one, the entire top fin is missing. Not as beautiful colors on them this time of year. Let's quickly get our lure out. Just quickly want to give the fish some oxygen. Take one last good look at him. Like I said, not our targeted species for today, but more than happy to get a little smallmouth bass. Thought the water might be too cold, these fish might be in deep, but a decent size one to be up shallow like this. Seeing how this might be the only fish we get today, quickly want to get a weight measurement on him as well. Tried to get fish on anchovies, tried to get some carp, seeing swimming up shallow on cord. Eventually swapped over to the Ned rig. Finally got this little bass. Let's quickly weigh him. So it's 1.9 kilograms. That's 2.4 pounds. Decent fish to get this time of year up shallow. Alright, so happy to get on the board today with the fish. Let's quickly release him. And off he goes. Alright guys, we've been waiting around for a couple of hours. Missed one carp. And finally we have a carp on, but as luck would have it, after a couple of hours, wife quickly had to make her way to the ladies' room, and that's when this little carp decided to show up. From the way this is fighting, it might not be a carp, but the fish hasn't gone close yet. It is actually carp. Oh, and he just popped off. Hooks are still on. Probably didn't get a proper hook set on him. But again, another fish lost. In the winter time, when the fishing is this tough, you need to get each and every bite. If you're only going to get 1 or 2 bites, you need to do a proper hook set on them to ensure you get the fish. Alright guys, so 2 years ago, when coming to this exact same spot, if you throw out some anchovies, it doesn't take long and you almost always get some stripers out there. Granted, 2 years ago, the water level was about 300 feet back inland. Now today, however, we had absolutely no takes on the anchovies, no hits, nothing at all. And of course, there are no shad around, so we can't even catch some small shad to lifeline out there. But we did have a surprising amount of bites on the corn. I did not just put out my carp setup for no good reason. I know that throughout December, a lot of people have been catching some carp in this area and having quite a few bites ourselves. The carp are still pretty active for this time of winter. But that just goes to show that no matter how much you plan something or how much you think you know, you're always going to run into some problems, and you need to be adaptable in what you're fishing and how you're fishing out there. And luckily for me today, after trying all sorts of lures and stuff, I finally landed that big smallmouth bass. Now, I'm not going to say that it was skill or something. That was just pure luck to get that big fish out there. And I think that's something that we can learn from this video. Things change at the drop of a hat. 2 weeks ago there was still lots of shad around. Now there's no shad in these waters up shallow. And we've been hearing from a lot of the guys out on the kayaks, a lot of fish in this area, but they don't seem to be active, and lots of big gizzard shad jumping. So don't get fooled if you see these fish jumping out of the water. But I think that's enough rambling for today. I want to thank you guys for following us on this trip. Feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. Give me a little thumbs up on this video so other people can see it as well. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, hit the big red subscribe button, join my community. Alright guys, but thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.